Hi, I'm John DeBach from WPJon, and today we're going to be talking about the WordPress menu system. I think I'll have the filet mignon and a glass of wine and a contact page with some privacy policy on the side, just in the top menu for me. What about a mobile menu? Can you make a menu that's good on mobile devices? All that's happening right here, right now on WPJon. Bloop, bloop.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm John DeBach. I've been building websites for companies and bloggers for over 10 years. Here on WPJon, I teach you everything I know about WordPress and digital marketing so you can create amazing freaking websites that make money, money, money. Alright, today we're going to be digging deep into the menu system with WordPress. This is what typically handles or controls your WordPress menu at the top of your site, your main navigation. It has other uses as well, but you have to learn how to actually use it, what it can and can't include, and why you would make more than one menu and things like that. So if we take a look at our basic install Kid Web Design, what I've done is I've actually added a bunch of pages. So let's take a look at the pages panel here. You'll see that I've added about, blog, contact, homepage, privacy policy, and services. This is pretty typical for a business website. You're going to have a services page, you're going to have a contact page, a homepage, etc. But if we look back at our front end of the site over here, you'll see a couple things are kind of wrong about this. One, your privacy policy typically goes in your footer, not in your header, unless of course you are a conspiracy theorist and you want to let people know that your privacy policy is ironclad, then leave it in the header. It's also kind of out of order. Typically, people want to see the home page all the way to the left, and they want to see it be called home, not home page. Why waste more space than you need to? Keep it nice and tight and neat. And typically your contact page is going to be all the way to the right on the left. It's just kind of typical normal design standards, and people have kind of become used to seeing home on the left, contact on the right, middle stuff in the middle, usually about second, but not always. So let's go into the WordPress menu system and figure out how this is actually controlled, okay? So we go back into our dashboard, and if you click on Appearance, this is where your menu tab is. So it's in the Appearance settings. Over here, we'll click on Menus, and in the Menus tab, you'll notice we don't have any menus. What happened? How are the menus there if we don't have any? What's going on? Don't worry, we're going to take care of this. Basically what happens is if you don't have any WordPress menus set up, most themes, not all, but most themes have a default that they'll just pull your pages into the menu. So if you don't have a WordPress menu system set up over here on the back end, it's going to pull all your pages and display it like crazy. Which is why sometimes you go to these horribly designed websites and you'll see 17 links in the header. They don't know how to use the WordPress menu. So this is how it's done. It's actually quite simple. The first thing you want to do is give yourself a menu name right there in the box that's labeled menu name. Think of that. Pretty simple. So we're just going to call it main menu, because this is going to be the main menu. And we click this blue create button over here to create the menu. And now we have this empty container that we can put things in. One thing I will say is this button is one I usually click, the primary menu button, so that WordPress knows that's my primary menu. I usually only have one menu on my site at any given point, and I manage hundreds of different websites over the years, and it's very rare that you'll use the secondary menu, but still you want to label it as primary so that WordPress knows. So we'll click Save Menu again. And now you'll see on the left over here, you have your pages. Now, the default is to see most recent pages, but what I typically like to do is click on View All Pages. The reason for that is sometimes you have quite a few pages, and you might not even see the one that you want in the View All. The search field next to View All is okay, but I find it's a little sluggish and slow, and I could typically find my page quicker by just going through the View All section than searching for it. In this case, where we only have 5 pages, it doesn't matter because that's all there is. But you'll see, oh, actually, it's not all there is. The privacy policy is missing. there's a good example right there. So if we click on the view all, you'll see privacy policy comes right back up. And now it has every single page in our blog. The most recent only shows, I think, the latest 4 or 5 pages. So the first thing you want to do is actually move these pages into your menu. The way you do that is by adding check marks to the one you want to add. So I'm going to add home, about, blog, contact, and services. I'm going to click add to menu, this button right here. And once I click that, you'll see in a second it jumps all those pages over into the WordPress menu area. This is it. Now the good thing about this is it's so simple to use. You can just literally drag and drop them. So you can click one, drag it, and move it around. That's as easy as it is. So home, you'll see, is at the very top, and we wanted to move contact down to the last link. And then once we do that and hit save menu right over here, it'll take effect live on the website. So once we do that, we can click back over to our home page and just hit refresh the page, which on a PC is the F5 key. And you'll see there it is. We have a home, about, blog, services, and contact. Now there are a couple more things I want to point out for you. And that is you can add custom links or pages or posts or even other things other than those options in your menu. One thing I want to point out real quick before we even get into it is this screen options tab right here. If you click on that, you'll see you have different options there. So this box is going to, these boxes section is going to allow you to choose what you're actually going to be allowed to choose from. So right now it's set to pages, posts, custom links, categories, and it doesn't have tags or formats available, typically because nobody uses tags or formats as links. But if you wanted to, you could. You can actually click these, and now if you scroll down, you'll see that tags and formats are things that you can actually pick from this menu to add. If you were to just click on any one of them, there are no tags currently because we don't have any posts or tags or formats, but if there were there, you can actually choose them and add them just as easily as you could a page. You can do the same thing for posts. Again, there's no post because it's a brand new install, but you could link to a specific post. But the general way to use a menu is to have almost exclusively just pages. Occasionally you'll see a category. So you might say, you know, all my blogs about airplanes. If you're a travel enthusiast, maybe. I really got to think of better examples for this stuff. I don't know what's wrong with me. I apologize. But you might see a category, airplanes, food, whatever. If you're a restaurant, you might have appetizers, or mains, or entrees, I think they're called, or, you know, lunch deals. See, that's a better example. I'm getting there. So that's the categories. And you can also add a custom link, which is pretty common in certain sites because you want to it's either a weird thing or you want to actually link to somebody else's website for some reason. This is actually really common if you have two websites that you control. You want to link people to the other one. So you might have a personal blog and a company blog and say, hey, check out my company's blog and put it right in the header menu, but there's no way to do it. So that's a custom link. Let me take a little gander on how you do that and you can peek over my shoulder. So under custom links, it's pretty simple. You enter in the URL and then the link text. So the URL could be something like Google. So if we add in google.com and then link text, we don't have to call it Google. We could say search or cool Google. Even better. And then we click add to menu. It gets snuck into the menu there. And then we could just drag it to where we want. So let's say we want to put it as the very first thing. We'll hit save menu. And then once we hit save menu, we can go back to the home page, hit refresh, and you'll see once it's refreshed, Cool Google's there. And if we click on Cool Google, it takes us to Cool Google. Let's go back for a second though, and I want to show you that you have some other options. And that's where we go back to the screen options, and I want to show you this particular thing, link target. This is something that if you're going to use custom links, you're going to probably want to check. So under link target, if I click on it, now if I fly open the custom link menu, or really any menu, you'll have this box that says open link in a new tab. That's important. So if you're linking to somebody else's website, even if it's your own, you might want to have it open in a new tab so that if they accidentally close it, they still have your main website open. So if I'm linking to an external site, I almost always will have that open in a new window. So I'll leave that box checked. and I'll just save the menu, and then I'm good to go. One other thing I'll mention is you'll notice that the home link is labeled as a custom link and not a page, which is interesting. The reason for that is it's a WordPress dynamic feature that's going to pull your homepage. So if you change what page is your homepage, it's still going to be the homepage. It's just going to pull your domain name. But if you wanted to change your homepage name from home to something else, I don't think you probably should, but let's say you might want to call it Cool Home. That's how you do it too. You just change the text in the navigation label of just about any label you'd like, and it'll change what it appears on the menu as. So if we hit refresh on the page, you'll see that Home has turned into Cool Home, and that if we click on Cool Google now, it opens in a new tab, which means that if I close this tab, I still have that website open and available to me. The last thing I want to kind of go over, and this is it for menus, is that you can create drop-downs. Pretty neat, right? So the way you create drop-downs is by indenting. You can just take your page and scoot it over to the right, and you will have a drop-down. In fact, if you scoot something over to the right and then to the right again, you'll have a double drop-down, which is horrible web design, but you might need it in certain instances. So if we click Save Menu, show you what that looks like on the front end of the site. We'll hit refresh on the front end, and you'll see that under Cool Google we have a drop-down. It's Cool Home, and then if we go to the Cool Home, there's a flyout menu, which is the second nested drop-down for About. So this is a way, if you do have several links, drop-downs are great, but I would recommend, for whatever site you're running, it's always great if you could just make 5 pages, at the most 6 for your menu. Having more than that gets a little confusing. You will be forced once in a while with certain websites, depending on your situation, to have more, but try to keep it minimal. People don't like to be overwhelmed by a menu in your header navigation. You should, if you have lots of categories on your site, consider making a page that explains where to get to each one of them. So you might, let's say you're a car dealership, say, available inventory. You might have a tab that says inventory. And then on your inventory page, you'll have Toyota, Mitsubishi, Sabre, whatever, car, Saab. They don't make Saabs anymore. Ferrari. It's the only dealership in the world that sells Toyota and Ferraris and Saabs. But that's about it. The last thing is you can... I said it was the last thing, and then I have another thing to do. Isn't that... I'm sorry, guys. I'm wasting your time here. But this is important. I do want to point it out to you, so please stick with me. The last thing is that you can create a second menu. This is helpful in certain situations, especially if you're going to adjust your theme. You might want a menu in the footer. So especially with Divi, my theme of choice, you're going to have the option to add a secondary menu in the footer, and maybe it's just the stripped down links, or maybe that's where you want your privacy policy and terms and conditions and things like that. So the way you do that is you click on the Create New Menu right over here, this little link here, and you can create the new menu just the same as you would the first menu. So this will be Footer Menu, for example, and we'll hit Create Menu, and now we can add any post or page we want. And you'll see the display location, it actually says Footer Menu. So let's try that. I actually don't know how this is going to work in the Astra theme, which is the default theme that I installed. We'll hit Save Menu, and we'll see if it actually takes effect. Now, this is going to be dependent on your theme if it actually takes into the footer, or you're going to have to do it manually. So let's see if it did it. I'm just refreshing the page, and then once it refreshes, we'll be able to see, does it actually appear in the footer, or is it just a label for WordPress? Yeah, see, so as you can see right here, even though we labeled it as a footer menu, it didn't appear in the footer. Very few themes have an automated footer menu. You have to actually adjust the theme with some custom configurations. But it's good to at least label it as a footer menu for WordPress so it knows, hey, that's a footer menu, that's a header menu. I think that's it for WordPress menus. Again, if you need any help with things, this is shameless plug time. If you don't want to do all this stuff, you want me to handle it for you, I can, of course, design your website and manage it for you, take care of your hosting, and also install a bunch of premium themes and plugins on there for you because I have all these cool developer licenses and save you thousands of dollars in the process. And I'm also not that expensive. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Of course, if you just need a little bit of help and you want like an hour-long consultation, that's another option I have. But You should be able to handle all this stuff yourself if you want to know the truth. If you have the time and you have the patience to learn it, I love making people self-sufficient at WordPress. It's one of my favorite things in the world, and I hope that these videos are helpful to you. Shameless plug over. I think that wraps it up for the WordPress menu plugin. I think, not plugin, the default menus, and I will talk to you in the next video about the next amazing WordPress feature and how to handle it. Bye-bye for now.